When a woman comes back after you've given her distance, it's rarely an accident. It's never because you chased harder, explained more, or tried to convince her of your worth. It happens because distance creates clarity. In modern dating, women are constantly surrounded by attention, messages, and options. When a man calmly and intentionally steps back, it cuts through that noise and forces reflection. This is the part most men completely miss. They think distance means losing control, when in reality, it restores it. Giving her distance doesn't mean ignoring her out of anger or playing games. It means pulling back with self-respect, emotional mastery, and a full life of your own. When you do it correctly, she starts feeling the sharp contrast between your presence and your absence. That contrast is what ignites curiosity, reflection, and ultimately, her desire to reconnect. Women don't miss words. They miss how you made them feel. They miss the stability, the confidence, the direction, the emotional safety. Distance makes those things visible again. This video breaks down why distance works, what really goes through her mind when you stop chasing, and how a woman slowly realizes reconnecting with you becomes necessary. It's not manipulation tactics. It's rooted in human psychology and raw attraction. When a man stays grounded, purpose-driven, and emotionally composed, his absence becomes deafening. If you've ever wondered why a woman suddenly reaches out after weeks or months of silence, here's exactly why. Distance gave her space to feel the void, compare experiences, and recognize the value she no longer has access to. Done right, distance doesn't push her away, it pulls her back. Distance ends excessive familiarity. The first reason a woman returns after you've given her distance is that it breaks the spell of excessive familiarity. Over-familiarity kills attraction faster than most men realize. When she knows she can reach you anytime, when your attention is constant and predictable, your presence loses impact. You become background noise instead of a signal. Distance shatters that instantly. When you pull back calmly, no drama, no long explanations, you interrupt the pattern she's grown used to. Your absence forces her to notice the shift. Suddenly, the man who was always there isn't. This disruption sparks awareness. She starts wondering why things feel different and exactly what changed. Excessive familiarity breeds comfort without excitement, security without desire. Distance restores the balance. It brings back uncertainty, curiosity, and emotional contrast. She replays interactions, questions her assumptions, reevaluates the dynamic. This isn't confusion in a negative sense. It's mental engagement. Women reconnect when their emotions re-engage, and distance creates that re-engagement. Instead of reacting to you in real time, she's now reflecting on you in her own space. Reflection is where attraction rebuilds. She remembers how you made her feel, the stability of your presence, and how different it feels now that it's gone. When a man stays present during his withdrawal, he reinforces overfamiliarity and kills urgency. When he creates distance, he restores meaning. The key detail is how the distance is handled. Calm distance communicates self-respect and confidence. Emotional distance shows maturity. Chaotic distance screams insecurity. When your distance is clean, composed, and silent, it forces her to fill the mental void. She starts comparing life with you to life without you. That comparison is where desire reignites. Overfamiliarity hides value. Distance reveals it. When she no longer has constant access to your attention, she begins to appreciate it. This appreciation doesn't happen logically, it happens emotionally. She notices the silence, notices the absence, notices the lack of your energy. That awareness is the first internal shift that brings her back. Distance removes the illusion that you'll always be there regardless of her behavior. That realization sharpens attraction. It makes your presence earned again instead of guaranteed. Once excessive familiarity is broken, curiosity returns, respect increases, and emotional attraction rebuilds quietly. She feels the loss of your attention. The second reason a woman returns after distance is that she feels the loss of your attention. Attention is emotional currency. When you're present, consistent, and engaged, your attention becomes part of her emotional landscape. When it disappears, she notices the change immediately, even if she doesn't say it out loud. Most men think attention only has power when it's given. In reality, its power shows most when it's withdrawn. When you stop initiating, stop texting, stop filling her emotional space, she becomes aware of what she no longer has access to. That awareness triggers internal discomfort, curiosity, and reflection. Women are used to an abundance of attention. When yours vanishes without explanation or emotional reaction, it stands out. She starts wondering why, not because you told her, but because her emotional system registers the shift. This is where many men sabotage themselves by reappearing too soon. They release the pressure before it does its work. When attention is withdrawn calmly, it creates contrast. She compares the emotional ease she felt when your attention was present to the quiet she feels now. That contrast brings clarity. She begins recognizing that your attention wasn't empty or random. It carried intent, consistency, emotional stability. Losing that feels different from losing casual attention from others. She may distract herself at first, but the absence lingers. Over time, she starts associating your attention with emotional security, validation, and grounding. That's when curiosity turns into longing. She might test the waters, watching your behavior, looking for signs you've moved on, or finding subtle ways to re-enter your space. This doesn't happen because she wants validation. It happens because she wants to reclaim the emotional resource she lost. Attention given freely feels common. Attention that's no longer available feels precious. Your silence forces her to process the emotional change internally instead of reacting externally. That's the internal processing that brings her back. When she realizes your attention isn't guaranteed, she reevaluates the connection. The mistake men make is thinking attention keeps attraction alive. Unlimited attention destroys it. Distance restores boundaries. Boundaries restore value. When she feels the loss of your attention without hostility or explanation, she fully experiences the emotional void. That void becomes the motivation to reconnect, not because you asked, but because she felt it. Her emotions finally catch up. The third reason a woman returns after distance is that her emotions finally catch up. When you were present and available, she didn't have to process what she really felt for you. Your consistency made the connection stable and always accessible, which dulled urgency. Distance removes that emotional cushion. Once you step back, emotional processing begins. At first, she might feel relief or neutrality, especially if the connection felt intense or routine. That phase is temporary. Over time, her emotional system starts reviewing the bond without distraction. She remembers how you made her feel, the stability you brought, the emotional presence you provided. That's when emotions that were dormant resurface. Reflection replaces reaction. Women don't process attraction linearly. They unfold when space allows. Distance gives her that space. Without your immediate presence, her mind replays moments, conversations, feelings she hadn't fully registered before. Emotional attachment strengthens through memory and contrast, not constant exposure. That's why chasing never works. Chasing keeps her emotions numb from familiarity. Distance wakes them up. As her emotions catch up, curiosity turns into longing. She starts wondering how you're doing, if you've moved on, what reconnecting would feel like. This internal questioning creates emotional pull. The more grounded and composed you remain during this period, the stronger the effect. Emotional reactions from you disrupt the process. Silence lets it unfold naturally. This is also when she emotionally compares. She measures current interactions against what she experienced with you. If your presence was stable, confident, emotionally safe, the difference becomes clear. That clarity triggers desire. These emotions aren't just responding to absence, they're responding to the quality of what's missing. Distance doesn't create emotion from nothing. It reveals what was already there. Once her emotions catch up, she feels a subtle pressure to fill the void. This resolution often comes through reaching out, not because she planned it, but because emotionally it feels unfinished. This is the stage where many women reappear unexpectedly. From the outside, it looks sudden. Internally, it built over time. Emotional processing needs space. Distance provides it. And once those emotions align with the reality of your absence, reconnecting feels like the next natural step. She compares you to others. The fourth reason a woman returns after distance is that she starts comparing you to others. When you were present, she had no reason to measure your value. Familiarity erased the contrast. Distance reintroduces it. As she interacts with other people, conversations, or dating options, she unconsciously measures how those experiences feel compared to what she had with you. This comparison doesn't happen right away. It unfolds as she notices what's missing: the calm, grounded energy you brought, consistency in communication, emotional stability. Those qualities become more obvious in your absence. Many men assume a woman quickly moves on because she has options. What they don't see is that options don't equal fulfillment. When you gave her space instead of chasing, you allowed her to experience the difference without influence. That difference often works in your favor. Other men might offer attention, excitement, or novelty. But if your presence brought depth, security, and confidence, she notices the contrast. She starts recognizing that not all interactions feel the same. Some feel chaotic, some superficial, some unstable. This comparison sharpens attraction because it highlights your unique qualities. Women don't return because you were perfect. They return because you were different in ways that mattered emotionally. Distance allows her to identify those differences clearly. If you'd stayed present, she never would have had the emotional space to recognize your value. Comparison also brings clarity. She begins realizing what she felt with you wasn't easily replaceable. That realization creates internal tension. Once she sees your presence provided something rare, curiosity grows. She might start checking your socials, asking mutual friends about you, or replaying moments in her mind. This isn't regret yet. It's awareness. Awareness is powerful. It changes perception. When perception changes, behavior follows. She starts seeing you not as someone she had, but as someone she lost access to. That mental shift changes how she feels about reconnection. Distance doesn't force comparison, it allows it. And when comparison happens naturally, without pressure, the conclusion feels authentic to her. That authenticity is what drives her to reach out. Not obligation, not guilt, but recognition that what she had with you held value she hadn't fully appreciated until it was gone. She perceives your emotional stability. The fifth reason a woman returns after distance is that she perceives your emotional stability. Emotional stability isn't loud, dramatic, or attention-seeking. It's felt in how a man responds under pressure, handles uncertainty, behaves when things aren't clear. When you gave her distance without anger, accusation, or emotional outburst, you demonstrated control. That control doesn't go unnoticed. At first, she may not register it consciously, but emotionally, it leaves an imprint. Most men react when a woman pulls away. They demand answers, seek reassurance, try to regain control through words. When you do none of that, it creates contrast. Your silence communicates strength. It shows you can regulate your emotions without depending on her behavior. Over time, she starts recognizing that your emotional stability created a sense of balance in her life. This realization often hits when she experiences emotional inconsistency elsewhere. Instability from others highlights your calm by comparison. Stability is soothing, it's safe, it's rare. Distance gives her space to feel the absence of that stability. When she reflects on past interactions, she remembers how you handled attention, disagreement, or uncertainty without losing control. That memory becomes emotionally attractive. Emotional stability signals maturity, leadership, self-respect. Those qualities matter more as emotional awareness grows. She starts associating you with reliability and calm, not chaos or unpredictability. This association strengthens desire because emotional stability fosters trust. Trust fosters attraction. When she feels emotionally unsettled without you, she begins understanding the role your presence played. This understanding builds quietly. It doesn't show as panic, it shows as reflection. She becomes more curious about how you're doing, if you've moved on, whether reconnecting would restore that emotional balance. The key detail is that this only happens when your distance is clean. If your distance is bitter, theatrical, or reactive, it destroys the effect. Calm distance highlights emotional strength. Emotional strength creates attraction. When she recognizes your absence wasn't accompanied by emotional chaos, she starts respecting you more. Respect deepens attraction. Attraction motivates reconnection. Emotional stability doesn't chase attention. It naturally invites it back. She senses you've moved on. The sixth reason a woman returns after distance is that she senses you've moved on. This is one of the most powerful psychological triggers in modern dating. When a woman believes you're still waiting, still stuck, still emotionally paused, there's no urgency. Your value feels static. The moment she senses your life has continued without her, something shifts internally. Moving on doesn't mean replacing her immediately or trying to prove anything. It means your energy changes. You're focused, engaged in your life, no longer orbiting her reactions. Women are extremely perceptive to this shift. Even without direct proof, your tone changes, your availability changes, your emotional posture changes. She can feel you're no longer centered on her. That realization creates pressure, not panic, but awareness. She starts questioning her assumptions about her place in your life. That's where attraction reactivates. When a man moves on, his attention becomes scarce. Scarcity increases value. She starts feeling access to you is no longer guaranteed. That feeling triggers reflection and urgency. She might wonder if she misjudged the situation or underestimated your independence. The idea that you're no longer emotionally anchored to her creates a subtle fear of loss. That fear isn't dramatic, but it's powerful. It forces her to reevaluate the connection from a new perspective. When she senses your energy is no longer directed at winning her back, she becomes more aware of what reconnection would actually mean. Moving on also reinforces your emotional authority. It shows you respect yourself enough to keep living without waiting for clarity or permission. That self-respect is deeply attractive. Women are drawn to men who choose forward momentum over emotional stagnation. The key is that this forward movement must be authentic. Forced demonstrations or performative behavior weaken the effect. Authentic progress is felt, not announced. As she senses your life expanding beyond her, curiosity intensifies. She starts wondering where she stands now. That question didn't exist when you were emotionally available. Now it does. And once that question appears, reconnecting becomes a way to answer it. She doesn't reach out because she misses attention. She reaches out because she senses she might lose access to a man who no longer orbits her. That realization often becomes the turning point. Conclusion: a woman returns after you've given her distance because absence creates awareness, reflection, and emotional attraction. Distance ends excessive familiarity, restoring meaning to your presence. It lets her feel the loss of your attention, highlighting value she may have taken for granted. Emotional processing begins in your absence, allowing her feelings to catch up naturally without pressure or manipulation. She starts comparing you to others, noticing unique qualities, stability, calm, confidence that made you different and memorable. Distance also lets her perceive your emotional stability and self-assurance, qualities that become more attractive when contrasted with experiences elsewhere. She senses your forward momentum, realizing your life continues independently of her reactions, which heightens curiosity and subtly motivates reconnection. Finally, the void created by your absence becomes emotionally uncomfortable, pushing her to reflect on what she truly misses. This combination of reflection, emotional awareness, and contrast creates natural attraction that brings her back. The key is how distance is handled, calmly, with confidence and self-respect. Overreacting, chasing, or trying to manipulate her feelings destroys the effect. When executed correctly, distance makes your presence precious, your attention meaningful, and your energy missed. Women respond to contrast between presence and absence, stability and chaos, engagement and independence. By giving her space while maintaining your own life, you allow her to experience the missing pieces she only fully appreciates once you've stepped back. That's why distance works. It changes perception, awakens reflection, and naturally rebuilds desire. When she returns, it's not because you forced it. It's because she recognized what she truly valued, felt the void, and was drawn to reclaim the connection that mattered most. Distance doesn't push her away. It pulls her in.